Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today. Chapter 884, New or New Possibilities. Ashbringer was in such a good mood that the flames on his head were dancing as he worked to sort the ores. The happy singing was enough to bring the off-duty guards who were having a smoke break on the bench over to see what was going on in the workshop. If they didn't want to be disturbed, they closed the door. But today it was wide open and Ashbringer was clearly singing, which he never did. "Oh, someone got a whole shipment of ore in. That's quite the haul, Ashy," one of the guards joked. Ashbringer winked at the female Wrath Demonis and went back to sorting the pile. Overlord Carl went to the dungeon in Bara and managed to convince a group to give him the whole or haul from their run. "I've got enough loot here to keep the ladies dripping with priceless treasures for years to come." The guard laughed at his response. "Since when have you ever paid any attention to the ladies? The only ladies you even talk to are the sculptors who work here with you, and they're all too young for you." It was clear that she was attempting to flirt, but Ashbringer was still more interested in his new pile of ore, and the guard was second or possibly third on his priority list. That was no change for him, though. The ladies had always come well behind the forge on his list of priorities. "So, does that mean that we can commission some Overlord-ranked metal items now? Assuming that we can afford them, that is," one of the other guards asked. Ashbringer nodded. "Custom orders are welcome. Master-crafted, rune-crafted, both. Prices will vary, but we can make you anything you like." The guard smiled, and Carl knew that they would have a wealthy merchant or district overseer by to see them soon. The guards' equipment came from the city and didn't belong to them until their contract terms were over. The weapons and armor were worth years of their salary, so if they quit the guard early, they had to repay the cost of the bonded items. It was great for retention and gave the city a good reason to put a bounty on former guards who ran off with their gear. They were both getting settled in for the day's work when the stomping of multiple boots caught Carl's attention. That was a lot of customers at once, and Carl assumed that it was most likely some local merchant group coming to look for a custom order. So he finished the Flooding Canal's Overlord-ranked charm statue he was working on and went out to greet them. Only it was not a local merchant, but Shaman Petros and a whole group of dwarves. "Lord Petros, it's a pleasure to have you here at my guild house again. Please come in, what can I help you with today?" Carl greeted them. "What is that in your hand?" the shaman asked, staring intently at the statue Carl had not set down when he finished. "Oh, the statue has a spell effect for flooded canals. We had some requests from farmers for help with water shortages in the irrigation system for the rice fields. This will create a steady flood of water when activated and should be enough to fill a whole county's canal system. It would create a whole minute worth of flow from a kilometer-wide river as it was based on the 1,000-year flood skill, but spread out over an hour so it didn't actually flood the entire region." Shaman Petros held out his hand and Carl passed him the statue, which was shaped like a smiling Remy but made from white and red mana jade at the monarch rank. "This is incredible. That has to be based on shamanistic water magic, right?" he asked. "Yes. A spell that I learned from the Naga Shaman Queen in my team." Carl agreed. Petros passed back the statue and looked around the courtyard. "You know, I didn't fully appreciate the subtle magic here the first time. The runic altar is obvious, but the increased mana level inside the house, the cistern well that never runs dry, the ghost fire forge. The art of the runecrafter is truly incredible. But we actually came here today to see if you can assist us with something more akin to your class skills," he asked. Carl nodded and led the group up to the third-floor common area sofas where they could sit and talk. The kitchen staff brought up a bottle of rum, glasses, and a large bowl of mixed nuts and pretzels. Carl assumed this was a traditional dwarven snack as he didn't even know that they stocked it at the guild house. Once they had the first drink in them, the dwarves were ready for business. "What we have is a dilemma. I don't even know if you can help us with it, but one of the dwarven mythical rank paladins wishes to join his family with that of the Kirin clan through marriage. However, the mythical beasts have no respect for paper contracts like marriage and want something more tangible as proof of lifelong commitment. The shaman explained. Carl thought about it. What rank are dwarves when they get their class, and what rank are newborn Kirin? Shaman Petros gave Carl a strange look, wondering why he was missing basic knowledge about the world. Dwarves are born as common rank beings and grow quickly as they mature. But most are still common or awakened when they awaken their class. Kirin are born as overlords. Carl sighed. Well, then my first plan isn't going to work, the power difference is too great. Petros waited for him to explain. I was thinking of a bond between youngsters much like my beasts with myself. But you can't be more than a rank apart or it will tear apart the mind of the host beast master. Well, it might be possible for the Kirin to be the host, but I don't think my skills are compatible that way, as even by the largest stretch of the phrasing, dwarves aren't a magical beast. That made the dwarves laugh. Well, not when young. One of the men, a berserker with blue paint stripes on his face, joked. Is there a ranger among the eligible candidates? An advancement to beast ranger class is possible, and then they could be bonded at the same rank. Carl offered. The shaman looked confused. And how would that be equal and not just subjugation of the Kirin clan? Carl smiled. If the bonded beast attacks the space, they can cause massive mental trauma to the bonded partner. They can also read each other's thoughts, there are no secrets. So infidelity would not only be impossible, but the Kirin could kill the ranger if they tried. It also isn't a bond that can be broken. Till death do they part. If Carl combined the beast space, ability with Follow Me, Little One, and Skill Master, he should be able to make a skill book equivalent to the system tokens that let the beasts pick their partners. Chapter 885, Kirin Bond. Shaman Petros considered the option, then nodded. We do have a ranger type among the candidates, though not the actual ranger class. If we bring both candidates here to you, would you be able to do the bonding? That would make things much easier. Carl nodded. I can do it as a blessing if both partners are here and willing. But you must understand that both parties must be wholeheartedly in favor of the bonding for it to work. Petros nodded, and then one of the men left the room. He will go get them from the teleportation platform. Petros explained. Oh? So quickly? Were they already together, or is this akin to a blind date? The dwarf chuckled at Carl's question. You'll understand when they get here. As they waited, the topic turned to the Darklight host and the items they sold at the shop, then to the dungeon at Bara and how soon Carl was likely to be back again. Thomas was a good friend of the totem-ranked shaman and had a high opinion of his skills, and the dwarf was looking forward to working with him again. A few minutes later, a black-bearded dwarven man followed the older dwarf up the stairs, accompanied by the sound of hooves as a small winged horse with one horn in the middle of its head twined around his feet like a cat, trying to be as close as possible to him at all times, even if it made him trip. These are our candidates. Petros chuckled as the dwarf gave the small creature an indulgent look, then petted its head. He was a monarch and the Kirin was an overlord, but that should be close enough for the new skill to work. Chosen partner, epic grade. Allows an unbonded magical beast to choose a compatible target to bond with through a beast space. The younger dwarven man smiled at Carl. So, how does this work? What do I need to do? Carl winked at him. You just need to mentally prepare yourself for what comes next. You see, my skills are all beast-related. So, the activation goes to Lily. The Kirin looked up as her name was called, then went back to bumping the dwarf for attention. How wise it was to bond someone with a stage 5 clinger of a magical beast girlfriend, Carl did not know. But if things took a Yandra twist, till death do us part might be sooner than expected. All right, Lily. Once I teach you the skill, you use it on your chosen life partner. It's one-time use, so be certain that you want to be together forever. Carl explained. The beast nodded and Carl transferred the chosen partner skill. Lily tackled the unprepared dwarf with a headbutt that sent him rolling across the floor as she vanished into the newly forming beast space. Carl knew that he would be in the class selection menu now, and the headbutt wasn't actually necessary to enter the space. Are you sure this is the right way? He looks pained. Shaman Petros whispered. It's right. But she's more powerful and highly excited. Once he finishes the class advancement, he should be able to hear all her thoughts, and he might be able to now, which would be distracting while he was trying to select a class. It took a few minutes before the monarch-ranked dwarf was finished, and Carl saw the class color of his name in the system interface change to the deeper green hue of the Beast Ranger. He didn't look like he was adapting well, though. He was holding his head and his eyes were closed while he mumbled to himself. Carl was beginning to get concerned for him when he got a message from Lily. Make him teach me to transform. I want to go shopping and see the city and go in the cute clothing stores that say no pets allowed and try ice cream and play in the sprinklers and give hugs and sleep in a bed and a maximum character count exceeded. Carl smiled. Gentlemen, I know what the problem is. Lily, please come out and stand by me. I will teach you a humanoid transformation. The Kirin appeared in all of her white-winged glory and Carl patted her head to transfer humanoid transformation. She immediately turned into a ginger-haired dwarven girl no more than 10 in human equivalent years. She was wearing a simple linen dress when she transformed and did a happy twirl, then grabbed her new partner's hand and tried dragging him down the stairs. Let's go, I want to see all the things, she demanded. He briefly resisted as it would be impolite to just leave in what was essentially an engagement party. Go, have fun. Take care of your new partner before she talks your ears off. Carl insisted, then shooed them down the stairs as Lily talked constantly about all the things she needed to see today. Why do I feel like we did something mean to him? The berserker asked. Well, nobody could have known that Lily was a chatterbox when she couldn't speak in her natural form. Carl replied with a shrug. We knew that they were fond of each other, but we might have underestimated it. Ah, no big deal, we can explain to the Kirin clan what happened and that they are bonded partners now. That should be enough to satisfy their conditions. It's not like Lily would give him up even if her father demanded it now. Petros joked. I get the feeling that he was in no way prepared for what he signed up for. One of the other dwarves joked. Carl nodded. There is no way that he was ready for her actual personality. She's way more excitable than anyone would have guessed, and it sounds like she has never gotten to see much of the world. Now that she has a humanoid transformation, he will have to take good care of her. But they should make a good pair. With her power, she will drag him up to Overlord in no time at all, and even to totem rank. The stronger of the two pulls the weaker up until they hit their limits, and her limits are very high. Chapter 886, They'll Need Time. Carl almost felt sorry for Lily's new partner. But what he would get in return for his efforts to please the overly excited Kirin would be well worth the effort. Well, that went more smoothly than expected. How about we have a proper meal? Carl suggested. Shaman Petros smiled. We brought ale and we have no need to rush right back. Plus, we can't go back without Danny and Lily anyhow. The barbarian reminded them. So, you're staying overnight? We've got plenty of guest rooms. The dwarves chuckled. It was likely to be late at night by the time that those two returned, so they might as well plan to take at least a day off. Wendy and Loros came out of their rooms and paused when they heard the dwarves in the common rooms on the third floor. It was rare to hear anyone up there at all, and even more uncommon for Carl to bring guests upstairs. But they went down to the kitchen to fetch breakfast and to send Mara for a trip up the dumbwaiter, a game that the little lizardfolk girl loved. It was just a shame that she couldn't travel with her cleaning tools all the time. Someone had to activate the lift from the outside. The others slowly came out of the library, which caused great confusion among the gathered dwarves. They understood architecture on an instinctual level, and there was no way that many people comfortably slept in one room at the corner of the building. It's an illusionary domain, larger than it appears. They had a ladies' night last night, so most of them likely slept in the theater. The plays are solid illusions, so they are quite realistic, every bit as good as going to a regular theater run by mages. Carl explained as Lotus belatedly tried to smooth her ruffled hair. Good morning, gentlemen. Was there anything more that you needed at the moment? We will be headed down to the kitchen. Tessa asked as she followed them out. We're quite well for now, thank you. But if you can inform your kitchen that there will be additional guests for the day and that they're dwarves, we would appreciate it. Petros informed them. A totem-ranked guest could basically get anything they wanted from most households, so the staff would surely make a meal that was suited to a dwarven stomach. Meat and potatoes, none of the crunchy green stuff. While the others ate, Carl thought of a proper gift to give them in honor of the visit. That was normally what you did when guests with powerful positions came to see you. There is a book you can give them. I made copies of the Dwarven runecrafting book to give to the apprentices before I knew that only a dwarf could use them properly. Remy suggested. Brilliant. Thank you, Remy. Carl took out one of the 4 copies of the book and placed it on the low table between the sofas. Here, I think that you might know someone who would be able to make good use of that. A present from me to you. Carl explained as Shaman Petros leaned forward to pick the book up. The totem stared at the book in shock, then reverently flipped the cover open and realized that it was a freshly made transcription, not an ancient tome. But the contents were shocking. This is dwarven runecrafting. Where did you find this? The art has been lost since before the end of the last system resurgence. He whispered. The dragons had a copy and they traded it to me. My friend Remy made copies, then realized that only a dwarf or someone with at least a little dwarven lineage could make use of the contents. You see, most of it is in dwarven, and while the standard runes work for everyone, the dwarven parts will only work for those deemed worthy. Carl informed the overwhelmed shaman. The book was suddenly pulled from his hands, though Carl noticed that the strike was to Petro's hands and not the book, which was held with great delicacy by the old dwarf on his left. It really is a dwarven tome. A primer, the introduction to the skill, but it contains the start of everything. Who would have thought that there would be such a fundamental instructional tome left when most of the relics we have are master's notebooks? Carl chuckled. You know, in the opening pages, the author repeatedly wonders why he is making an introductory tome for things children should know. But he wrote it anyhow, specifically because he worried that one day the masters might become too exclusive and a tragedy would cause the basic skills to be lost along with them. The old dwarf smiled. It would be funny if it weren't so true. You see, I am a master smith, and 2/3 of what the ancient tomes say a dwarven smith should be able to do, I cannot. Because the skills were lost in the 10,000 years without the system. Now with this book, there is a chance to recover some of them. But what is this language? Was ancient dwarven really that informal? No, he must be writing this for his juniors, so he's treating the reader as a brand new apprentice. The others gathered around and chuckled at the nuances that Carl had missed due to his lack of skill with the language. Shaman Petros chuckled as he watched them get excited. You know, it's a good thing you chose this as a gift. If you had put it up for sale, I'm not sure anyone could have afforded it. Carl nodded. And that's why it was a gift. Some things should not have price tags put on them. But you should know that there are sections on stone totems, a bit about the golem master's profession and runic alchemy in there as well. If one of them is your trade skill, the book could be useful to all of you. Hello everyone, this is Shadow. Due to copyright restrictions on YouTube, I can't publish many of the audiobooks you love. That's why I've created a special paid service where you can enjoy over 300 high-quality audiobooks from platforms like Webnovel, Pocket FM, Audible, Wuxia, and more. Each novel comes as a one-time purchase, no subscriptions, no hidden fees. After payment, you'll receive full access via Telegram, along with all future updates for that novel. You'll find a wide selection of your favorite genres and titles, always in premium audio quality. Check the full list of available novels in the description. DM me now to get your favorite stories in audiobook form and start listening today.